talk about what's next for the Epic Family Road Trip. We're not ready for that life yet. It just seems so boring compared to what we have ahead of us. So the second thing, so that's the money thing. I don't know anything more about it. That's it.
No, I don't.
Number two would be, people ask us how the kids do school. We'll talk about that really quickly. In Ontario, we have several online programs, and that's convenient for us. Not every jurisdiction has that, unfortunately, but allows our kids did these programs when they're in the last year of grade school, and then in high school it made it very easy. We have one called ILC, which is Independent Learning Center, which is the one they're using now. It allows them to work at their own pace, study at their own pace, and then we have to be back in Ontario for exams at least once a year. So find something in your local jurisdiction, and it's the best thing for kids. It's harder, like when you go to school every day, you're just almost forced to, just by being there, you get the work done. But when you have to be your own motor, you drive your own drive and ambition, that's a good skill for kids to learn that they'll use later in life. And we always tell people the curriculum is one thing and they're learning all kinds of really neat stuff, but the best education of all is being on the road, and the places they've been and the learnings they have are just things that'll stick with them forever. For instance, where the Vikings landed in Canada, they were studying that, and I was listening in on a class, and they're talking about this in 900 BC. Leif Erikson crossed the Atlantic in one of those tiny little Viking ships and landed in what is now Newfoundland. And then the teacher was like, wait a minute, to one of my sons, Pete, you've probably been there. And he's like, yeah, we were there. And he said, well, why don't you teach a class? And he could talk about the cold winds coming off the Atlantic Ocean, and he's standing right in there feeling and holding the artifacts in his hands, and the kids are walking through the longhouses that they rebuilt on location and seeing how thick the walls were in the peat moss, and just an incredible way to learn when you travel. So it's better than any classroom you'll ever have.
In Indonesia, when they're learning to plant rice, or in Haiti, how to do the solar panels, and just problem solving as teenagers. And now that they're getting, older, starting their businesses and learning the whole ownership of that, and consistency and commitment, and just basically working together, and then also working with mom and dad. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Is like, dad, Peter is working for dad, or all the kids have their own jobs, and they take it very seriously, and I'm really proud of them that they have learned that ownership of something, and it's up to them. They don't, say, well, mom and dad, you didn't wake me up for that. They need to be the ones getting up, and sometimes you need encouragement, just like I need encouragement. And we can see that sometimes I'm afraid to go when now they're, talking about different countries and stuff, and I have all these different fears, and then they're doing a lot of the research and going, you don't need to be, mom, because of this, this, and this. And so I love that about the teamwork that kind of blooms when you're out on the road for this long, and just become a unit as a family, but as a team as well.
The people they've met as well is a big part of that education. Think of just last week we were down at Overland Expo, and they met people like Dan Grech, who's gone all the way through Africa, and they ask all kinds of questions and learn from someone who's actually been there. So that has been our experience over the 4 years. People ask about their social life. Well, their social circle has expanded so much, and they meet their old friends all the time. We go home enough that they can do that, but they've met so many people. So that's all part of the learnings of being on the road and traveling. So the other question we get asked is, so what's next? And like I said earlier, we love this so much that it's more than just a trip now. It's kind of a lifestyle, and we have much more of the world to see. So we're currently sitting together as a family and beginning the early stage planning of our next trip. Now, we had thought Europe, which is on the list, but after talking to Dan Grech and looking at some of his videos and just checking out Africa, we thought, man, wouldn't it be awesome to do South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and maybe a few more of the southern African countries initially. So we're looking into the cost of shipping over there and all the stuff that needs to be done to go, and starting to save money for that trip. Like we said earlier, saving up for each trip and having the kids contribute is a big part of our plan and our dream going forward. The other thing is, we've talked about this before, but we've outgrown our configuration here. Just the Jeep, the kids are, you know, when we started, they fit in here, and we were only going on a short trip, so we didn't really think it through. So that might be something to keep in mind if you're planning, or if you think you're going to get hooked and end up doing this long term. Think 4 years down the road, what is your situation going to look like, and then maybe plan ahead for that. So as you probably noticed, we've been pretty quiet on social media for the past few weeks now. We were up at the island getting ready, or starting to think about packing up and heading on our next journey, when I got a text saying that my dear sister's health was starting to decline rapidly. And so we were sitting there one evening just not thinking about this at all, and all of a sudden we just started packing up our gear and shut down at least 3 weeks early and started hauling everything across the lake. It took us a day and a half or
about
so.
13 loads.
Load after load of stuff, because we had to shut down and winterize the cabin and get enough stuff to make sure we had enough gear for the next 5-6 months. So anyway, we did that, and we raced back down to where I'm from, in the Caledon, Orangeville area, and we were on time to spend some precious moments with my sister Deb, who, as you may or may not know, but we've shared a few videos about it, but for the last year and a half or so, she was battling stage 4 colon cancer, and which had spread to other organs, and so it was really a very tough thing. All the while she kept her happiness and joy, and no one ever heard her complain once. What an unbelievable person. And we spent some precious moments with her as a family, and then a few days later she passed. And so we're sticking it out here for a couple of weeks. The funeral's coming up actually next weekend on the 23rd, and people are coming in from all over the world because she impacted so many lives, just living such an amazing but short life. And so we're shut down everything for the time being, and we're just gonna spend time with family and then go to the funeral, and there'll be a celebration of her life. So that's what we're doing in the month of September. And then November. Yeah, November. And then Carol's parents are having their 50th, right? 50th wedding anniversary. And Carol's from Oregon, and so rather than, we're not gonna have time now. We were gonna be on the road right now driving out there, but what we're gonna do is fly to Oregon, to Portland, and then go to the 50th wedding anniversary, and then come back here, and then launch on our next journey, which we're calling Season 5. So if you're curious about what we're doing and where we're going and how we're gonna manage now that we've outgrown the Jeep, and all these questions that we've been trying to answer for ourselves, head over to join our Patreon community. They already know what's going on, and we have a very small but wonderful community there, and we're starting to put more information on patreon.com. Yeah, so they already know what's going on, but for the rest of us, we have some exciting things coming up. We did purchase a second vehicle, so you'll find out more about that on Patreon or in the weeks ahead. So yeah, and about Patreon, we only have 18 or so people in that community. We'd love to have a lot more. We haven't really done a lot of work, or we haven't promoted that. But that's a little place where you can contribute a few almost like a subscription for Netflix or whatever. For a couple of dollars, you can do more if you want. You really help fuel the journey and help the kids with their editing. They put hours and hours and hours into filming and editing, and no one pays them to do it. So if you feel that you want to contribute, they much appreciate it. It just helps them, and to continue providing good, clean family programming for everybody to enjoy. So yeah, exciting things coming up. So after the funeral, we're going to be out west for a while, and then we're coming back here and then driving to warmer places. Make sure you join us for season 5 coming up as we head out on an all new adventure. We bring a new vehicle into the mix. We're going to be building it out. You're going to learn all kinds of things as we learn about the best products to use. We're going to be using a lot of the products that we really have put to the test and enjoy. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will see you down the road.